So here's the thing. If you've been at the same level in your life, your business, your income, your mindset, basically anything for I don't know, a year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years, this video is probably gonna sting a little bit. But you know what? That sting, that's exactly what you need right now. Because I'm gonna tell you something that nobody else is willing to say to your face. And I promise you, by the end of this, you're gonna understand why you've been stuck. And more importantly, what you need to do today, not tomorrow, not the next Monday, today, to break free. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's have a real conversation. Look, I get it. You wake up, you do things, you work hard. You're not lazy. I know you're not lazy. You're watching this video, which means you actually care about growing. But here's the brutal part. Caring isn't enough, and working hard, that's not enough either. You know what's wild? I spent almost 3 years of my life stuck at the exact same income level. Same clients, same type of work, same problems, same excuses. And every single night I lie in bed and think, what is wrong with me? Why is everyone else moving forward and I'm just here, And here's the kicker. I was busy. I genuinely was busy. I wasn't sitting around doing nothing. I was working 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. So I tell myself, well, I'm putting in the work. It will pay off eventually. But you know what? It didn't, because I was confusing motion with progress. And if you're honest with yourself right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're moving, but you're not actually going anywhere. So let me tell you what I finally figured out after wasting all that time. The reason you're stuck isn't because you're not working hard enough. Okay, it's not because you don't have the talent or ideas or potential. The reason you're stuck is because you're doing the same things over and over and over again, and you're expecting different results. I know. That's the definition of insanity, right? But here's the thing. We don't see it when we are the ones doing it. You're stuck in what I call the comfortable plateau. And it's so dangerous because it doesn't feel comfortable. It is called comfortable, but it's not comfortable at all. It feels frustrating as hell. But here's the truth. You made peace with it. You've convinced yourself that this is just how it is for now. You've told yourself, I'm working on it. I'm learning. I'm preparing. But let me ask you something and be real with yourself. How long have you been preparing? How long have you been working on it? How many courses have you bought that you haven't actually finished? How many business ideas have you written down that you haven't started? See, here's what I realized about myself, and I bet this is true for you too. I wasn't actually afraid of failing. I was afraid of trying and still not making it. Because as long as I didn't really try, as long as I kept preparing and planning, I could protect my ego. I could tell myself, well, I haven't really gone all in yet. So when I do, that's when things will change. But that day never comes, does it? Because you're using preparation as a shield. You're using I'm not ready yet as permission to stay exactly where you are. So here's where everything changed for me. And I remember the exact moment. I was talking to someone who was 5 years younger than me, making 3 times what I was making. And I asked him a simple question. What's your secret? How did you grow so fast? And you know what they said? They said, I just started doing the thing I was scared to do every single day. That's it. No magic formula, no secret hack. They just consistently did the uncomfortable thing. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks. I had been waiting to feel ready. I had been waiting to feel confident. And I had been waiting for the perfect moment when everything aligned and I felt like I knew exactly what I was doing. But successful people, they don't wait for that feeling. They move before they are ready. They start before they know how it's all gonna work out. Think about it like this. You know how everyone says you should lift heavier weights to build muscle, right? Well, your comfort zone works the exact same way. Now, if you are lifting the same weight, you maintain the same strength. You might even get a little weaker. But the moment you add more weight, even just a little bit, your muscles have no choice but to grow. Your life is the same way. You're not going to grow by doing what's comfortable. You're not going to level up by staying in the same environment, with the same routines, with the same strategies that got you here. Because here's the harsh truth. The things that got you to where you are right now, those same things are the reason you are stuck here. So what do you actually do? How do you break out of this plateau? First, you have to get painfully honest with yourself about what you're avoiding. Not what you're doing, what you're avoiding. For me, it was putting my work out there. I was perfecting things for months, maybe even years when I should have just launched. I was scared people would judge me, or worse, that they'd ignore me completely. So I stayed hidden. I stayed small. I stayed stuck. So what is it for you? Is it having that difficult conversation? Is it raising your prices? Is it, posting that content you've been sitting on? Or is it, reaching out to that person who could change everything for you? Is it maybe admitting that your current strategy isn't working and maybe trying something completely different could work? Whatever that is, I guarantee you already know what it is. You just don't want to face it. So let's come to the second point. You need to embrace what I call the messy middle. We all love the idea of transformation. We watch these videos, we get pumped up, we imagine, the future version of ourselves killing it. But nobody talks about the awkward, uncomfortable, frustrating part in between. The part where you're doing new things and you're bad at them. The part where you're putting yourself out there and crickets. Silence, right? The part where you're working harder than ever and not seeing results yet. That part, that's where most people quit. They think, see, I tried and it didn't work. But here's what they don't understand, right? That's not failure. That's just the messy middle. That's the bridge, between where you are and where you want to be. And you can't skip it. Third, and this is huge, okay? You need to change your environment or your inputs. You cannot consume the same content, hang around the same people, follow the same routine, and expect to become a different person. If you're watching the same stuff on YouTube every day, scrolling the same social media, having the same conversations with the same people who are also stuck, you're not going anywhere. You need to deliberately expose yourself to new ideas, to new people, to new ways of thinking. And I'm not saying abandon your friends or anything, nothing dramatic like that. I'm saying be intentional about who and what influences your mind every single day. Look, here's the bottom line. You can watch this video, nod your head, feel inspired for about 20 minutes, and then go right back to doing exactly what you were doing before. Now, most people will do that. They'll consume, always learning, never doing. Or you can decide that today is the day you stop lying to yourself. Today is the day you stop preparing and start executing. Today is the day you do the one thing you've been avoiding. And I'm not talking about some massive transformation. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow or burn your life down. I'm saying do one uncomfortable thing today. Send that email, post that thing, have that conversation, make that decision you've been putting off. Because here's the magic that nobody tells you. Momentum builds. One small action leads to another. One uncomfortable conversation leads to confidence for the next one. One post leads to another. It all snowballs, but only if you start. You know what's crazy? A year from now, you're going to be somewhere. You're either going to be stuck at the same level, having the same frustrated thoughts, watching videos like this again, or you're going to be on a completely different level, looking back at today as the day things shifted. The choice is yours, but you have to choose now. Not Monday, not when you're ready, now. All right, if this resonated with you, if you're someone who's serious about breaking out of the plateau and actually building something real, whether that's a business, a career, a better mindset, whatever, I want you to follow and subscribe this channel, because here's what I'm doing. I'm documenting this journey. I'm sharing the strategies, the mindset shifts, the real talk that nobody else wants to give you. And honestly, I'm also getting into AI and automation myself, because I realize that's one of the biggest levers for small businesses and solopreneurs right now. So if you want to improve your mindset, your productivity, your life, and maybe even understand how AI can help you work smarter instead of just harder, hit that subscribe button, because the next video might be exactly what you need to hear at the exact right time. All right, I'll see you in the next one, and remember, stop preparing, start doing today. Thank you.